The hustle doesn't have to hurt. If performance pressure is making it hard to breathe, Grow Therapy helps you navigate stress, set boundaries, and actually feel like yourself again. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/start now to get started. That's growtherapy.com/start now. growtherapy.com/start now. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
What's up? It's Sean Linda from Two Black Guys with Good Credit. If managed supply runs is still on your to-do list, here's your sign to upgrade. Walmart Business has the tech, tools, and services that make it ridiculously easy to stock up for your office or team. Think scheduled deliveries, multi-user accounts, and even IT setup. Bonus, with a Walmart Business Plus membership, you get free shipping, spend analytics, and 2% rewards. Join the smart way to shop at business.walmart.com. Terms apply.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
Welcome to the Lessons from the Great Coaches podcast.
I've learned that you don't do it alone.
You learn so many different things from so many different coaches.
That's an elite learning environment.
Failure is not a problem. How you deal with it is a problem.
How to be resilient.
How important it is to infuse joy in the process of learning.
To be a good coach, you've got to give more than you take.
What an interesting life it is to be a leader.
My name is Paul Barnett, and you are listening to the Great Coaches podcast, where we explore leadership through the lens of high-performance sport by interviewing great coaches from around the world to try and find ideas to help all of us lead our teams better. We started this podcast because we wanted to have better conversations with our families around the dinner table. In a social media world where the goal is often to be the star of the show, we wanted to change the conversation and talk more about selflessness, leadership, and responsibility. And the people we knew who best exhibited these qualities were great sports coaches. As the podcast has grown, the great coaches we have interviewed have shared so much insight and wisdom that we decided to create episodes dedicated entirely to the lessons that have resonated with us the most. Today's episode is on the topic of learning, and it features audio quotes from 15 coaches that we have interviewed on the podcast. And just before we go to the episode, if you're a first-time listener, you can check out our library of interviews at our website, thegreatcoachespodcast.com. And while you're there, if you'd like to help our podcast, which is fully independent and free from ads, you can follow the link to our Patreon page, where we offer exclusive content to our supporters. And now, onto the topic of learning.
The Lessons from the Great Coaches podcast.
On the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated, he was due to deliver a speech in Dallas. In the copy of that speech he was to deliver is the line, "Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other." The speech was to be given to the Dallas Citizens Council and includes this paragraph. "America's leadership must be guided by the lights of learning and reason, or else those who confuse rhetoric with reality and the plausible with the possible will gain the popular ascendancy with their seemingly swift and simple solutions to every world problem." In our opening question in our interviews, we ask our guests about the great coaches they have experienced and what sets them apart, and the topic of learning is frequently given in their answers. Here is an example from Irish boxing coach Philip Sutcliffe Sr.
All great coaches must keep on learning. And you learn every day. You learn from the children that you teach. You learn from the adults that are surround you. You learn from different mistakes you make. You make things better.
And this from Croatian basketball coach Jasmin Rapisha.
The best coaches are coaches who are learning fast and who are not repeating same mistakes. Because every coach makes every game 5 mistakes. It's important, not repeat same mistakes next game.
One of the themes that many of the great coaches talk about when it comes to cultivating the skill or habit of learning is curiosity. This was something the Olympic gold medal winning field hockey coach Danny Carey talked to us about when describing the great coaches that he had experienced.
I feel they have the real courage of their own convictions and they hold their position strongly, but also possibly with an element of curiosity for other views. So that ability to hold true to what they believe while still having an element of curiosity about how might I do this better, I think is sort of a common theme in the coaches I have looked up to and have worked with.
The rugby union coach Andy Friend also spoke about the presence of curiosity in great coaches.
I think the great coaches have a real sense of their own purpose and what they think is the right way to do something. At the same time, I also think they're inquisitive and you never stop growing as a coach. I reckon you've got to continue to stretch yourself and to challenge the way you think and the way you do things.
This focus on learning is often described as being lifelong and is coupled with a regular process of self-reflection so that they are able to assess what they need to do in order to get better. This is basketball coach Brenda Brown.
Well, I think the great coaches are lifelong learners. You'll hear that a lot, but I think they're evaluating themselves constantly and pursuing their craft constantly. And our craft is pretty broad. In terms of coaching, you've got your technical piece, and in basketball, people say X's and O's. And then you've also got your delivery piece, how you're connecting to your athletes and individualizing that coaching to get the most out of them. And so you've got to know yourself, and also you've got to know your audience at any given time.
Joanne P. McCauley took this idea further when she said that if you're not learning, then you are not doing what you expect of your athletes.
If you're not evolving, then you're not getting better. And then you're not doing the very thing you ask your student athletes to do. So you've got to be consistent. One thing about coaching, it's very authentic, and kids have a way of seeing through when things are not authentic or driven by a different motivation.
The iconic softball coach, Sue Enquist, builds on this idea by saying that you need to surround yourself with people who can help you learn.
And I could share with our audience, that's one thing, if we could just balance that out a little bit, that idea of being around people not like us and people that traveled on a path not like ours isn't and shouldn't be intimidating. It should fill us with curiosity and openness.
The German national team boxing coach, Eddie Bolger, explained to us how it was learning from the great Billy Walsh that helped him become the coach that he is today.
Now Billy's passion to learn and develop in management and in directing things was the key, and the knowledge that Zor had in the technical development, tactical conditioning development, periodization of preparation. It was just a good coming together, and very lucky for me that I got a great apprenticeship and a great education there.
When great coaches talk about their quest for knowledge, they describe themselves as being uncomfortably comfortable with all that they don't know, and using this discomfort to push them beyond their immediate environment and network in search of learning. The legendary cycling coach Charlie Walsh described this best.
When I first started coaching, my attitude was, well, I don't know it all, and far from that. I need to have a look and see what the best coaches in the world are doing and how their athletes are also behaving because I've seen that as part of the package. I didn't just look at cycling coaches. I looked at coaches from AFL. I looked at 2 swimming coaches, a Forbes Carlisle and a guy from the USA, and people from other sports. And from that, I sort of derived that one of the key ingredients in them was their philosophy. and your philosophy is all encompassing. But they were certainly very clear, as I seen it, what is the best in their particular sporting field and what is required to get there. They were certainly very direct, they were clear, concise, self-challenged, self-discipline stood right out amongst them. They were not about self, so the ego was not about that. It was about what can I do for you. They certainly were not know-it-alls. They were quite prepared to seek information from others.
The hustle doesn't have to hurt. If performance pressure is making it hard to breathe, Grow Therapy helps you navigate stress, set boundaries, and actually feel like yourself again. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/start now to get started. That's growtherapy.com/start now. growtherapy.com/start now. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
What's up? It's Sean Linda from Two Black Guys with Good Credit. If managed supply runs is still on your to-do list, here's your sign to upgrade. Walmart Business has the tech, tools, and services that make it ridiculously easy to stock up for your office or team. Think scheduled deliveries, multi-user accounts, and even IT setup. Bonus, with a Walmart Business Plus membership, you get free shipping, spend analytics, and 2% rewards. Join the smart way to shop at business.walmart.com. Terms apply.
The rugby union coach Connor O'Shea reinforced this idea that great coaches are learning from a wide and varied group of people.
So they learn from loads of people, they learn from their growth, they learn from experience, but they take all those learnings, but they never change who they are. It's when you try and be an imposter. So if the way you want to live your life is, I don't want to enjoy it and I'm just going to be successful because if I enjoy it, I'm showing weakness. If that's you, fine. If you're acting that, then you're just an imposter. So I know how I want to live my life. I know the values I have. If that's good enough and people like it, fine. And if they don't, they don't. But I'm not going to be somebody I'm not. That's probably the biggest thing that you see in those really elite coaches.
The actual process of learning can be uncomfortable. But as Neil Craig pointed out to us, it's that very sensation of discomfort that precedes growth.
Eddie Jones, Rick Charlesworth, Charlie Walsh, they are very, very uncomfortable about being comfortable. In actual fact, they seek ways to keep things uncomfortable because that's when you really learn. Like you learn when you first learn to drive a car. Like it's uncomfortable, isn't it? Like you everything's highlighted and you've got to push the accelerator down, you've got brakes and the indicators and whatever. Eventually you get to a stage where you're quite comfortable. And if you want to get better at that, you need to actually extend yourself. So you might be able to drive a car around Prague all day, but if you want to be really uncomfortable, we'll put you in a Formula One. And so your skill set will have to increase enormously because you'll be totally uncomfortable again. And so this capacity to embrace the adversity, which is a form of training for you.
And this discomfort as you learn in a way that is not linear is something that great coaches prepare for their athletes with and help them normalise.
Learning is not a linear process. It's a non-linear process, so it doesn't go in a straight line. It goes all jagging up and down, and suddenly you have a slump. You're not quite sure, and if you stick with it, the coach's job then is to stand by him, be enthusiastic, keep him moving, and then suddenly, whoa, we go again. And that to me becomes so exciting watching somebody go through that process, because if it was just straightforward, everybody would do it. It's not. Learning and growing and moving, it comes through experiences, and coaches try and provide those experiences along with all the other things in somebody's life.
As a way to manage the discomfort of learning, One of the world's most successful gymnastic coaches, Valerie Condas-Field, talked to us about infusing joy into the process of learning.
That's when I was able to help the athlete infuse joy into the process of learning. I had a wonderful one-on-one conversation for about an hour with Kobe Bryant. The majority of the talk, actually he started by saying, he said, Miss Val, I don't know whether to thank you or to be mad at you because my daughters have Caitlin Ohashi's floor routine, like automatic replay in our house. And he says, we literally have watched it probably 1,000 times. That switched to us discussing how important it is to infuse joy in the process of learning. And Kobe, we were just so on the same track that understanding that joy is not being happy. Joy is something internal that comes from you doing your absolute best at something. And he said to me, he says, Miss Val, joy for me was getting up every morning at 4:30 and putting in 2 extra workouts before the team ever showed up. He goes, I got so filled up with joy and pride that it really didn't even matter if we lost a game, our next game, that nobody can take that away from you. He said, that's my pride in a job well done is what filled me with joy that I was able to bring to everything I did in life.
Dr. Carol Dweck coined the term fixed and growth mindset, and her research showed that a growth mindset empowers people to believe they can develop their abilities. It's not surprising then that many of the great coaches identify the presence of a growth mindset as being essential for the successful execution of their roles. Here's Valerie Condas-Field again.
And let me start with the commonalities that I've noticed. Commonalities are a passion for a growth mindset. All of the coaches who I had the great fortune of being mentored by, they all had a growth mindset. They all were readers, not just of athletics books or leadership books, but all types of books. They all are meticulous with understanding what a healthy culture and foundation looks like under their leadership.
Corey Close coaches basketball at UCLA in America, and a growth mindset is so important to her that it is one of the 3 core values in the team.
One of our 3 core values in our program here with UCLA women's basketball is a growth mindset. And what does that mean? It means everything that happens to me today is an opportunity to learn and grow. And I want every player, as they leave our program, to have a deep sense of what a privilege it is to look at life through the lens of growth and not through a fixed mindset lens. And if I want them to really adopt that, I've got to model it myself. I've got to show them my pride in being better today than I was yesterday. And when I fall short, owning that and saying, hey, you know what? I fell short here. I made a mistake here. Let's get back onto the growth path.
Perhaps the final word on learning should come from cricket coach Justin Langer, who offered curiosity as the one piece of advice he would like to leave the audience with.
And if I could give people one bit of advice at any age, have a curious mind and search for mentors. And a lot of people, the mistake they make is they think they already know it all and they don't ask questions. And I've said this for many, many years. I hope in the last day of my coaching career, I still consider myself as a novice coach. In other words, I hope I'm still learning.
We hope you enjoyed our episode on learning and found 1 or 2 things you can bring to your own dinner table, locker room, or boardroom table for discussion. The key lessons I have taken away on the topic of learning from our interview guests are: one of the similarities that great coaches identify in other great coaches is that they are lifelong learners. They are self-reflective in what their knowledge gaps are, and they see learning as a form of self-improvement. The skill or habit of learning is cultivated through curiosity and is part of having a growth mindset. And great coaches look to learn from people and ideas outside of their immediate bubble and try to surround themselves with people who have the same drive to learn. Here at the Great Coaches Podcast, we are always trying to learn as well, so please let us know if you have any feedback. Just like Jill Maguire, who said, I walked the dog with you and Ben Ryan earlier this week. What a fabulous podcast. And Simon Naismith, who said, love your podcast project, full of so many great stories, journeys and learnings. Well done, And thank you for your passion towards leadership and coach development. Thanks, Jill and Simon. The interaction with people around the world who listen gives us great energy. And so if you have any feedback or comments, please let us know. All the details on how to interact with us are in the show notes or on our website, thegreatcoachespodcast.com.
There's one place for the newest drops in wellness and performance, and the biggest sale of the year. It's The Drop by GNC, curating the best of what's new, handpicked by the pros who know what works. And right now, get it all, buy one, get one 50% off during the semi-annual Live Well sale. From crushing workouts to leveling up your nutrition and everything in between, get the best deals on the latest innovations. All the newness is all on sale right now during the Live Well sale on The Drop by GNC.
Parles-tu français?
¿Hablas español?
Parli italiano?
If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based technique teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/acast. Spelled BABBEL.com/acast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Shipping, billing, admin, payroll, marketing. You're managing all the things. So why waste time sending important documents the old-fashioned way? Mail and ship when you want, how you want with Stamps.com. Print postage on demand 24/7 and schedule pickups from your office or home. Save up to 90% with automated rate shopping. That's why over 1 million small businesses trust Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com and use code PODCAST to try Stamps.com risk-free for 60 days.